book lovers, it is G-Swizz here, and I'm here today with my January TBR. Oh my goodness, it's January, which means that I have more reading time. The interesting thing about December, even though December is technically holiday period for some, and it's the time where people have a little bit more time for themselves, December every year for me is very chaotic because it is one of the busiest times of my working year. And like, not only that, I'm also focused on trying to get end of year content out, and when the working year is finally finished, there are moments you spend with your family. January, however, it's very interesting. Even though it is the beginning of a working year, and yes, I work full time, this January is going to be maybe easy breezy for me. And the reason why I say this is because, one, because not everybody returns to work in January, even though that is technically the beginning of the work year. I am technically working from home majority of January, and my workplace is also going to be doing summer hours, which means Fridays are half day as long as you work an extra hour during Monday to Thursday. That means I will have more time to work on my content and to read more books. And in terms of my relationship with my reading life in December, it's quite different to a lot of readers out there. A lot of the time I'm seeing readers cram in December because they want to read as many books as they possibly can before the reading year is done, but I personally save my cramming for January. Well, not necessarily specifically January, but the earlier parts of the year. I honestly get so excited to look at the first quarter of the year and to see the potential in me actually reading as much as I possibly can in the first quarter before the year gets hectic. And you know what? That worked out for me in 2023. I just so happened to have the most intense last 5 months of the year in 2023. And if I did not read as much as I did in the first half of 2023, I don't think I would have made 350 books as a read count. That's why I think January is probably the most valuable month for me, because it's the month I plan to cram. I plan to get my read count up this month. I plan to have fun with it as well. And yes, I know that reading is not a competitive sport. I am trying to not make it competitive, but at the very same time, my brain is like, you know what? I want to see those numbers go up. So I'm doing that in January. I'm not putting any pressure on myself for the end of the year. I honestly don't like doing that. I actually prefer saving my end of year period to recharge and, you know, rejuvenate before the new year. And right now I am planning to do a new year reset. I am gonna read as much as I want to this month. I hope that I will stay motivated, and if I don't stay motivated, that's okay. It's a chill month. I guess without further ado, this intro has been long. Let's get straight into my January TBR, where I'm going to talk about the books that I want to get to this month, and a bunch of them are going to be some series and some quick reads. Let's go. So to kick this off, I would like to read Blue Box this month, or at least get started on Blue Box. And if you guys didn't happen to know, this is actually the first in a shonen romance series, which is very funny because when I think about shonen, I don't usually think about romance, but there are some shonen romances out there, and Blue Box just so happens to be one of them. And funnily enough, Blue Box is actually a badminton romance. I don't know much more about it. I literally just put it on this TBR because I'm wanting to read more manga within 2024, and I have so many different series just piling up on my list, and I want to prioritize a few romances before going into February to see whether or not I would recommend this during the month of Valentine's Day. So I'm planning to read Blue Box. I don't know anything about it, but I'm pumped for it. And the next manga that I have to mention on this list today is my special one, which is actually a shoujo romance. This is actually giving me She's All That vibes, because I believe we're following like a nerdy girl and then a jock type character trying to get together, and they, from this cover, already look absolutely cute. I really like the vibes of this. I also love the picture of them on the back as well, where she's like really awkward and he's just really charming. Yeah, I can't get over this. I am already shipping this so hard, and I know nothing else about the series. I started collecting the series like around this time last year, and since then I have not actually read the first volume. I need to put myself in check. I need to read this. I need to let you guys know how I go with it. I'm really hoping I can recommend this as an awesome shoujo series. I just need to read more shoujo in general. I love reading romance, and I reckon that my special one is probably going to be a favorite. I don't know. I'm predicting it's going to be a favorite. And moving on to the novels that I would like to read in January, I'm going to start off with The Kraken Sacrifice by Katie Roberts. I recently read read The Demon's Bargain, which is actually a smaller novella that takes place within the series, and that was so pleasant. That definitely put me in the mood to continue on with the series. Oh my goodness, I had so much fun with that one. So I reckon it's about time I continue on. Additionally, at the end of The Demon's Bargain, they actually tease the Kraken Sacrifice as well, and I immediately wanted to pick the Kraken Sacrifice up. I chose not to, and the reason why I chose not to was because I wanted to save this shorter novel for the beginning of the year. I was starting to cram a few things in December, but I wanted to save some of the series for the new year, so that is what I did. So I plan to read the Kraken Sacrifice and the other novels in the series this year. I can't wait to get to this one, honestly. I reckon that this is definitely going to be a favorite. I've heard great things about this book in particular. I've heard that it's one of the best in the series. I reckon I'm really gonna love this, and this isn't the only Katie Robert book that I have on my TBR for January. I also plan on reading Hunt on Dark Waters in January. So this is also by Katie Robert, except this was actually traditionally published initially. So Berkeley, or Del Rey? I believe in the US Berkeley published this, but then it's Del Rey here in Australia. They're both Penguin, right? They're both Penguin imprints. I have this beautiful paperback. This is so stunning. I love the foiling and the detail on this paperback, and I really love the design of this cover. I mean, as soon as I saw the cover, I immediately knew that I had to purchase it. But Katie Robert is also a selling point for me because I've loved their books previously. As I've just mentioned, I've recently read The Demon's Bargain, so I am in an absolute Katie Robert mood. Like, I definitely need to read more of her books at this time. So I plan to get to this one sometime within January, and a big reason why I saved it for January / the summer period is because water. You know, this is just perfect. I just want to read ocean-based fantasy while it's summertime here in Australia. Trust me, it's really hot as I'm filming this right now. I'm currently filming this like late at night because it's much more bearable to film at nighttime in this weather. I plan on getting to this one sometime this year. I really did want to read it by the end of last year, but there was so much going on in November and December, so I just decided that January was the way to go for this, but also it suits the season very well, or at least it suits my season very well. I'm really hoping that Katie Robert will surprise me in this first month of the year, and I cannot wait to let you guys know how I go with this. I think I'm really gonna love this one. We'll see. And another favorite author of mine that made my January TBR is Olivia Blake, and yes, the Atlas Complex just so happens to come out later this month. I think it comes out more towards February. I actually don't remember the release date for the Atlas Complex. That is the final book in the series, but I at least want to start my reread of the Atlas 6 and then move on to the Atlas Paradox. I have not yet read the Atlas Paradox. I'm looking forward to doing so, but I actually attempted to reread the Atlas 6 in the lead up to the Atlas Paradox, and I realized that I was just not in the mood to reread the Atlas 6. Even though I really loved the Atlas 6 the first time I read it, I realized going into my reread, I was just not ready for a complex read. So I'm really hoping that this time around, in the midst of my cramming, that maybe my cramming will be some sort of like recharge for me. Like, you know, I will constantly pick up quick reads, and then this will kind of be a breakaway from that. Reading this might just be refreshing, or maybe reading my crammable, bingeable reads, that might just be refreshing, and that might just be something that I use as a breather while I'm going through my reread of the Atlas 6. I don't know. We will see. But what I do know is that I really want to get to rereading this book because I just remembered loving it the first time I read it, and I really want to get back into the series. I really want to follow these characters again. I really want to see what will happen to them at the end of the story. I just want to know how things end up, but I'm also scared to do so because I just know that the stakes are getting pretty high based on the fact that this book ended the way that it did. Fingers crossed I get to my reread of the Atlas 6 sometime in January. I really hope I love it just as much as I loved it the first time, and I'm really hoping I like the Atlas Paradox. I am hearing that it's not as good as the Atlas 6, but I waited to read the Atlas Paradox closer to the Atlas Complex so that I would be able to enjoy my full reading experience. I cannot guarantee that I will get to the Atlas Complex in January. I think that's going to be more of a February or a March read. It really depends on whether or not I am truly deeply invested in the series and the writing style. I really liked the writing style when I first read the series. It's just a more complex one compared to some of the other reads I have on this list. That's why this is either a breakaway or everything else I have on my TBR is a breakaway from this. And next up on my January TBR is the Maze of Shadows series by Catherine Ann Kingsley. I wanted to read this series last year. I don't know if I put it on my series TBR for last year, but what I do know is that I obviously did not get to it, and I kept on forgetting that this series was on my shelves. So I need to change that. I think I need to put it in a more obvious placement on my shelves. I need to prioritize it. I'm hearing good things about the series. I have heard that it's quite the slow burn. I mean, these covers, they really attracted me initially. I don't know, there's just something about how dark and how eerie they are, but also kind of like how hot they are as dark romantasy novels. I've heard really good things about the series. However, I have heard that they are kind of like painfully slow burn books. These books also look like they are on the shorter end of things, and it got me thinking, yeah, you know what? These are on the shorter side. They look like the perfect January read because I am looking for crammable books. I'm trying to cram as much as I possibly can in this month. I'm trying to get my read count up, and I'm hoping that I can do so with this book series. If I don't, then I need to get to these sometime this year because it's getting ridiculous. I keep on pushing this series out. And another bingeable series that I'm considering reading in the month of January is this series right here by Belle Harper. It's the Rebels of Ridgecrest High. Here I have The Pact. The second book is The Lie. The third book is The Game. And then the fourth book is The Win. And this, from what I remember, is a Why Choose football series? It's a Why Choose sports romance. But I don't know if every single book follows the same characters. I think it does, maybe. It's like a saga that follows them. And I initially just saw these covers and I was like, oh my goodness, I need to grab them. Also, I met Belle Harper at Rare. I picked these up as pre-orders. They're actually all signed, I believe, by Belle Harper. They're all signed. Look at that. Yeah, I can't wait to read these. I mean, I've kept these for a rainy day. I know it's probably not gonna rain in January. That's not my point. The point is, I saved this book series for a time I was looking for something bingeable, and that's what I'm looking for in January. I'm just looking to binge things this month, and so I'm hoping to binge The Rebels of Ridgecrest High. And no, I know nothing about the series beside the fact that it's a sports Why Choose series, but I saw the covers, they intrigued me, they just look cool and colorful and dark at the same time. Like, wow, I kind of just really like this concept. They're all like these really cool colorful roses. These covers are not sports themed, but the books are. Man. So I'm getting into this and Blue Box in the month of January, or I'm thinking about it. And the second last book series I'm considering reading in the month of January is the Hellsgate Guardian series by Ivy Asher and Raven Kennedy. Yes, that Raven Kennedy, the plated prisoner Raven Kennedy I'm referring to. Yes, the Order of Scorpions Ivy Asher I'm also referring to. They are besties and they teamed up to write this paranormal series, and I'm living for it, honestly. I very much want to read this series this month because I have really fond memories of reading two awesome paranormal series this time last year. So in January of 2023, I read the Unearthly series and I read the Covenant Saga, and those two 5-book series absolutely rocked my world. They knocked my socks off. I got so excited over both those series, and honestly, I really want to find another paranormal series to sink my teeth into, and I think that the Hellsgate Guardian series might just be that for me, and I really hope I love this one just as much as I loved the other two paranormal series that I read that I mentioned I read in 2023. I reckon that this book series might just be promising based on the fact that these two writers are best friends. They love writing with each other. They also wrote Rabid, which was a recent novel that came out, I believe, in 2023 as well. So they've recently also written another novel together, and additionally, they're also successful individually as well. I'm excited for both the writers individually, and I'm excited for them together. I can't wait to get to the series. I don't really know much about it, but I picked these up at Rare. I actually met Ivy Asher at Rare, and she signed all these books, and she left me space for when I potentially meet Raven, so that's exciting. I just pretty much want to get into a good paranormal romance this month, and I'm hoping I can do that while reading this series. I really hope I can get to this series in the month of January. I seriously mean it when I say that I want to read a good paranormal romance this time of year, even though it's not necessarily that time of year. Like, it's not spooky season, it's not paranormal season, it's literally summer here, and I could be reading all the contemporary mystery romances and rom-coms, I just feel like I need to read paranormal romance because this time last year I did it and it was quite successful. Like, I really loved my reading experience of those two series. And you know what? Rom-coms, they're gonna be saved for February because that is the month for rom-coms. And last but certainly not least, I plan on maybe, no, I'm not gonna say maybe anymore. I must get to the Planet Barbarians series. I must. I mean, I'm talking about bingeable series here. I'm bringing up all these different bingeable series, and I just realized that while I was compiling this list, the Planet Barbarians series is one of the easiest bingeable series to get through. I mean, I at least want to get to the Planet Barbarians books that I have on my shelves. I believe I own the first 6 books at the moment in this series. I think it's almost 20 books or it's over 20 books. It's somewhere around that range. And yes, I know at this point I'm really not bothered to find the exact number, but you get the gist of it. There are a lot of books in this series, and I do plan on finally starting the series, like for once. I think I've had this first book on my TBR for almost 2 years. I was sent this first book by the publisher, and I still have not gotten to it. I mean, technically, Penguin actually sent it to me like 2 or 3 months late. Like, I requested it. I was like, okay, it's not gonna show up. And then it magically showed up one day. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess I gotta read it now. But like, I never did that. And I think, you know what, I didn't do that because they sent it to me really late. But also, you know what? I kind of wanted to wait a little bit until I had a few more books in the series to binge read. And I think right now I'm in the perfect place to do so. I literally have 6 of these books on my shelves at the moment. I don't expect myself to get to all 6 in the month of January, but I'd say the first few are a good start. And these books are really easy to breeze through. These books are literally like 300-page novels. They're perfect binge-worthy material. I don't know why I didn't get to these sooner, but I'm happy I saved this for a month that I plan on binge reading a lot of things. So pretty much, I am going to cram this in to January. I'm just gonna have a really good time this January. I think this is definitely gonna be one of the funnest reads I read. I mean, I know the plot of this first novel anyway. I kind of fully know what to expect out of this novel and out of the rest of the series, but I'm gonna have a lot of fun with it. And you know what? I'm gonna vicariously live through these women who are on an ice planet because it's really hot here. And I would very much appreciate it if I was transported to an ice planet at the moment. But as long as I have the option to come back to Earth, you know? I plan on getting to this one. I'll let you guys know how I go with it. I'll let you know whether or not it's worth the hype. I mean, I'm pretty sure a bunch of people have already talked about this already. Maybe my opinion really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I'm just gonna read it for my enjoyment. So I guess that's gonna be it for this video today, book lovers. If you happen to stay to the end of the video, leave me the blue heart emoji. And if you happen to enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet already joined the amazing community of book lovers. And also, I have social medias. I'm at gswizzelbooks on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm also Goodreads. That's www.goodreads.com/gswizzle. And finally, I'm at TikTok. I'm at gswizzle on TikTok if you want to follow me there for some bookish content. I love you, book lovers, and I will see you later. Peace.
Half and I flipped it in a double. Started out with half and I flipped it in a double.